Welcome back. So, the Jailer, he's made his first open move against an Eternal One. He sent his new servant Anduin to Elysian Hold under the guise of a noble king. Anduin then, of course, transformed into the epitome of a Death Knight and used a Mournblade to take a bit of the Archon's soul, it would seem. We then learn the Jailer considered the Archon's stolen soul bit a key to his chains. And with that, well, we were on to the next step of the narrative in this big cosmic arc, and that is the Jailer hunting for the remaining keys to his freedom. Now, these keys were a mystery that Blizzard have been hinting at, dropping in seemingly random bits of quest text and plot threads, all these things referencing keys that we've noticed. At the time, it all made sense, considering the Jailer was imprisoned, but it seemed figurative. The Kingsmorn cinematic, though, gave us huge realizations. Now, the keys are actually keys. They are something to claim. They're not just a figure of speech. And we can begin to work out where the rest of these keys are, and how they tie into everything. So, the Jailer is on the hunt for the keys to his freedom. We don't know how many he has, but we do know that he needs 3 more. What is he going to open? Well, I'm going to actually give him help with Boxu, the place to get a slice of Japan each month, and we'll get 10% off, up to $47 off with my link. And also, we have got the full unboxing and tasting video down there. It is some real fun stuff. Now, their boxes give you a journey through top-notch Japanese snacking. Like, this box literally shipped from Japan. They even partner with snack makers to make some pretty damn cool, unique treats. Like, there's actually sake sweets in this one. So this is my Seasons of Japan box. And in this, we have got snacks. We've also got the culture guide, which basically teaches you what's up with each item, including where they're from. And also, well, we've got a tea pairing. Other things, we've got seaweed. I am a fiend for seaweed, so seaweed tempura, very exciting. We've got dondonyaki, very, very fun. Also, mochis, which, I love mochis. We've got edamame. We've got this apple caramel guy. And also, this is big hype, red bean donuts. I will demolish anything that is red bean. And that's just scratching the surface. So, hit up our tasting video if you would like to hang out with us, with me and Matt, enjoy a slice of Japan, and to get yours and 10% off, hit up our link. What a fun sponsor to have. So thank you, Boxu, and let's go. Let's start with what we know. So the Archon had a key and Anduin took it. What exactly does that then tell us about the rest of the keys? Well, it tells us that they're a fundamental part of an Eternal One. It was, the symbol of the Archon's covenant, and she very much didn't seem happy about losing it. We know that Anduin used a Mournblade, and we know that Mournblades like Frostmourne have got the power to steal and shatter souls. That does make me think that the so-called key is actually the power, or part of the power, of an Eternal One. Maybe their soul, maybe just a fragment of their soul. I'd say likely a fragment, since the Archon does indeed survive Anduin's attack. Now, it was the power of the Eternal Ones that was used to form up their realms. Think about Devos claiming that the Eternal Ones used their power to build domains that suited only themselves. Considering that then, they're not keys in a literal sense, they're more likely the power used by the Eternal Ones, and that does mean also the power that was used to imprison Zovaal within the Maw. Now, the next big takeaway from the cinematic is Zovaal claiming that 3 keys remain to be found. Now, this would make sense, considering he took one from the Archon, and there are 4 Eternal Ones. So this kind of presents a question. Are there 4 or 5 keys in total? What if someone possessed a key and was allied to the Jailer, like Sire Denathrius? Would he have given his key over to the Jailer as a sign of goodwill, or perhaps would he have kept it as one final piece of leverage? After all, unlike Arthas or Anduin, Denathrius did seem to be a willing partner with the Jailer. Now, I'd say that being the self-preserving type, there's a pretty decent chance he would have kept on to his key, just in case. Now, assuming that Sire Denathrius still has his key, well, we then know exactly where it's going to be. It's going to be with him, locked inside Remornia, his sentient blade. Now, that blade is kept at the Dawnkeep, protected by the Naru Zirali. So if the jailer wants to get that key, he's going to have to get through that Naru. Now, if the jailer needs 4 keys in total, and the Archons brings that down to 3 outstanding keys, then Denathrius might still have his. Getting Denathrius would mean he'd only need 2 keys. However, if the 5-key theory is correct, then the jailer already has Denathrius' key, has got the Archon's key, and now only needs 3 more. And that would mean that he'd be 1 step closer to freedom than we had thought. Now, we do know from the BlizzConline Q&A that the developers basically loved the voice acting of Denathrius by Ray Trace. They actually decided to put Denathrius in Remornia as an opportunity to reintroduce him in the future because they like how the character turned out so much. So I would say there's a really good chance we'll actually see the Sire again, with or without his key. We need to go to Maldraxis if we really want to know what's going on here. You see, the Primus knew that something was coming. He ensured that, in the event of his disappearance, his sanctum could only open to somebody truly worthy of saving the Shadowlands. I mean, think about it. The Primus knows the most about conflict and betrayal. He's got towers filled with that sorts of information and pretty much an eternity of practicing war and all of the other associated things. Now, I've heard people say that the Archon was naive to let Anduin just saunter into Elysian Hold. I'll say this, I don't think that same situation would have happened to the Primus. He is a lot more clued in, it would seem. Now, it's clear that getting his key was never going to be a straightforward thing for the jailer. But the thing is, he is gone. And knowing, for him, that horrible things lay in the future for the Shadowlands, he left us a message, telling us precisely who took him, the jailer. So let's take a look at the contingencies that the Primus made. Almost certainly, as well, a contingency made to protect his key. Now, we've not 100% confirmed that the Rune Carver and Primus are the same individual, but many people do think that is the case. And if he is the same person, then why is the Rune Carver not handed over his key? Why is the jailer not forced it out of him? Well, it's possible that the jailer already has his key, and that's why only 3 remain in a 5-key theory. But stay with me here for a second. The Primus knew that, of course, Zovaal was coming, and I think the Primus hid his key. Knowing that the jailer could access his memories and find his hiding place, the Primus scattered his memories across the Shadowlands, made himself forget, which is why the Rune Carver can't really give us that much information unless we restore his memories. It would then, in that case, be a smart move for Zovaal to actually let us into the Rune Carver's chamber and help to restore his memories. In doing so, we might actually give the jailer the information he so desperately wants. And again, it would be an example of players doing something that they would maybe regret in the future, just like with freeing Gul'dan at the start of Warlords of Draenor. So while the jailer was going through his memories and, using the Rune Carver to make rune blades and domination armor, he also would have been looking for where he hid the Maldraxian key. So, where could the Primus have hidden the key? Draka. It actually could be Draka in a big way. In Afterlife's Maldraxis, Margrave Akarek, the former leader of the House of Eyes, sends Draka with a message to the House of the Chosen. Now, he knew that Maldraxis was falling apart, and the phrasing of his message makes me think that Akarek kind of knew that he was pretty much next on the chopping block. And his message simply read, "I offer the key to saving Maldraxis." Draka then replies, "He gave me no key." And she then looks at the camera with a sudden realization, I would say, that she is the key to saving Maldraxis. Then Craxus continues, "An unyielding warrior with the skills of a master spy. A key to many things." But the way that Draka looks at the screen makes me think that she perhaps realized something of deeper significance there. She has proven herself as a fierce warrior and a rogue, but she's also proven beyond a doubt that she can actually lead Maldraxis, and perhaps then could be the perfect vessel for the Primus's key. So I think Draka might actually know where that key is and a lot of what's going on there. in lieu of the Primus. So that's actually 3 keys down. Now, going back to the Primus's final message, we're only really realizing its full significance now. He tells us that the jailer has forged his chains into a weapon. Now, Steve Denuser directly referenced that line in our interview. So, we know that this message and its contents are extremely important. But it's the final words of the Primus that really tell us the ultimate stakes at play. The Arbiter is the final key, protect her or all is lost. We've speculated before, and it's becoming increasingly clear that the Arbiter perhaps took the role the jailer was supposed to have. Now, initially this theory came from the fact that Zovaal has a big old hole in his chest, whilst the Arbiter has got a little black ball in her chest, and that ball is stylistically different from the rest of the Arbiter's golden design, and that led to quite a bit of speculation that perhaps the essence of the jailer, the thing that was supposed to let him do the job he was meant for, that is now housed in this mechanical thing called the Arbiter. Well, the Kingsmorn cinematic provided us, I could say, with 2 bits of evidence. First, I just wanted to note that it seemed that Anduin striking the chest of the Archon was intentional, as if that's kind of like where the key was stored. So if Zovaal, as a part of the original Pantheon of Death, had a key, then it would be in his chest, and it's now in the Arbiter's chest. Then secondly, the jailer's final line, "Death was never meant to be chained." That makes me think that he is talking about the overall function of death, and that is a function that the Arbiter now holds. It's chained up, essentially, in an automaton being. Now, this would mean that, yes, there are 4 keys, 1 for each of the covenants, but evidence does suggest there could be a 5th key, one perhaps originally belonging to Zovaal, that is maybe now in the Arbiter's chest. I mean, if there is 1 key per Eternal and 5 Eternals, that would make sense, even though Zovaal, of course, well, lost his job. As the Primus said, quite literally, the Arbiter is that 5th and final key. Now, if it's true that the Arbiter was put in place of the jailer, then I guess we can only imagine the sorts of power that Zovaal would actually have if he took his rightful place, especially when you think about what the Arbiter's current job is, or at least was supposed to be before she was knocked offline. Of course, though, if we are to accept that the Arbiter has a key, along with the other Eternal ones, then that means we also need to accept that the jailer actually needs 5 keys. Now, he could have gotten the other one from Denathrius, or he needs the first 4 before he can take that fight to the Arbiter herself, get the final key, and free himself. Now, we're only going to discuss this bit briefly today, but if we accept that there are 5 keys, then that does create a very uncanny connection with one of the earlier Whispers of Il'gynoth, which of course is 5 keys to open our way, 5 torches to light our path. Now, it may be coincidence, but considering other Whispers have aligned with the Shadowlands, I think that might need a thorough investigation. And the good work is, we're already working on that investigation. It'll just take a minute. Ardenweald has been absent from our discussion so far, but make no mistake, it is absolutely, you could say, key to this entire situation. You see, considering that keys appear to be, at least the ones that the jailer wants, that they appear to be parts of an Eternal one, like with the Archon situation, or could perhaps be invested in somebody, like with the Primus, then we can assume that the Winter Queen actually does remain in possession of her key, or at the very least, has got it somewhere safe. But the thing is, Ardenweald has a greater significance. It essentially hosts the lock to the jailer's chains. And the Winter Queen said it herself, referencing the Heart of the Forest. We are told, "Long ago, we drew upon its magic to ensure the Maw would be inescapable. The Heart of the Forest, to this day, keeps the jailer in the Maw." Now, the fun thing there is that means that domination magic comes from the Heart of the Forest. It's quite strange that the domination magic that formed the Lich King, in fact, came from the Heart of the Forest in Ardenweald. It just shows that domination magic is essentially just a class of magic. Now, the Ardenweald campaign has been building up to some sort of confrontation with the jailer eventually. It's mostly been about the ecology of Ardenweald being destroyed by 1,000 different minor ways, that it's, at this stage, barely held together. Essentially, all it needs is one big push, and that ecology might fall apart, with, of course, the consequence being to free the jailer. Of course, the question is, how do these keys come together? And if the Heart of the Forest is the lock, what actually goes on there? And of course, the sepulchre. What could that be? Is it actually the case that these keys, these 5 keys, actually open the sepulchre, and from that, who the hell knows what happens? But we do know that the brokers and the jailer are looking for it. So the 2 things to keep in mind: the Heart of the Forest in Ardenweald, and the sepulchre, whatever it may be. Alright, time to tie a bow in this one. Long ago, the Eternal Ones banded together to punish Zovaal for some, as yet unknown, treachery. They extracted Zovaal's purpose from his chest, and they used it, along with their own powers, to bind him to the Maw, transforming him into who we now know as the Jailer. Those powers are now considered keys to Zovaal's freedom. He definitely has 1 key, and there may be 3 or 4 keys outstanding. The Heart of the Forest is being used, to this day, to bind the Jailer to the Maw, making its destruction one of the key steps in his plan. And although the Heart of the Forest is weak, he likely won't be able to destroy it until he has all of those keys. Now, there is still so much to know here, like this new mysterious realm named Korthia, it being pulled into the Maw by the Jailer, and he believes that he's going to perhaps find a key, or maybe the knowledge needed to find a key from it. We also know that the Nathrazim have already infiltrated that realm, or had been there previously, and that's quite spooky. We don't know how he's going to claim the keys of the Primus or the Winter Queen, and we don't even know if Denathrius still has his key. But we do know that the Jailer is hunting for them, and that he's doing it with urgency and dedication, which makes me think that he's quite close to making the moves that will result in him claiming them all, and therefore claiming his freedom. And that's probably going to be quite bad for us as the denizens of Azeroth. So there you go. That is the situation with the keys as it is currently understood. Patch 9.1 will of course reveal a whole bunch more, and if you want to reveal the contents of today's sponsor Boxu, and I guess see a fun extra video, hit up the link down below, and yeah, support the sponsor, support us, and also get some cool content, see some snacks from Japan. That's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.